Okay, here we are. We are live. It is another Thursday, and it is yet another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
And I'm Dr. Erica Peabody. And so sorry we missed you last week, everybody. And we actually sort of wanted to springboard off of some of the events of last week in order to bring it to you this week and how it all relates in. So, yeah, super grateful to be here.
Yeah. So, welcome in, everybody. Thank you for your comments already. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button.
Best way to be the healthiest ever is like,
number
subscribe, and
share. You want to be super healthy? Hit the like and subscribe.
And share. Yes.
But also, YouTube has doubled their requirements to get monetized and seen. So we need likes and subscribes and shares like never before. So please, please. And we promise you'll be super healthier for it because you'll be getting incredible information that makes you super healthy.
Also true. And you won't miss an episode. No,
exactly.
I know. We really appreciate all of you out there. Silly Lily, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Do you guys remember the Truman Show where he'd be like,
yes.
Good morning, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Anyway, I think Dr. Paula has a sort of a spark.
Yes. So today's episode, your health and the difference between life and death. And this actually was spurred on by, as Dr. Erica mentioned, some events that took place last week, some impending things that we're going to roll out to you. But we wanted to take it back. When we first started this podcast, we taught you the 33 principles of chiropractic, which is about innate intelligence. It's about life force. It's about all the ways that chiropractic positively affects the human body, frame, mind, body, and soul. So this is literally chapter 1 from this particular book, Palmer's Law of Life. And this will fuel right into this. So it says, I'm getting the light to the side here. When innate intelligence enters a newborn babe, where does it come from? When innate intelligence leaves a mortal body, where does it go? In the eagerness to know more about what is outside of himself, man ponders, cogitates, meditates, and comes up with answers which satisfy him. In answer to, who knows? That depends upon his religious concepts, beliefs, and faiths. It might be to some imaginary upstairs somewhere or down in some imaginary cellar somewhere, depending upon the statute of his educational stipulations of good or bad, right or wrong, moral or immoral. It enters with that first squeak after it leaves the material body of the mother, when the material body of the babe ceases to be materially dependent and becoming living independent at birth. It might be born. I'm not going to read that. That was okay. I'm just going to stop it there. So where does this life force come from? How does it get here? What happens? What's the difference between you alive and you dead? There's a life force there. So with that, I want you to start to think about this life force, this innate intelligence within you. Do you understand it within you? Have you had experiences that have made you question, where does that life force come from? Mm-hmm. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Dr. Erica to share a little bit about her story.
Yeah. So Silly Lily, yes. Okay. So she mentions life force as in chi energy, and some people know it as chi. And the really interesting thing when you say chi is that our profession is chiropractic, but it's CHI. And some of our mentors and things like that would often be like, it's chiropractic, but it's actually chiropractic. And so that chi energy is that the innate inborn wisdom that Dr. Paula mentioned out of the green books, which if you know anything about chiropractic, or if you are a chiropractor out there listening, green books are like it's our world philosophy inside of our world. And it's our founder and developer. And I have a couple sitting right here as well, that our philosophy is written in thousands and thousands and thousands of pages in our green book. So last week, actually, let me preface this by saying, we all know when a baby is conceived, an egg and a sperm come together. and they create life, and that it creates like a blastocyst first, and then it develops, and it like grows. It kind of looks like a raspberry initially, but the very first thing that's formed is our brain and spinal cord. So our nervous system is the very first thing that's born, because it needs to animate the growth and where these things go and how they need to develop. So that means where my arm's supposed to go. I also need to develop nerves that go out and tell it the story of what it's supposed to do, where the legs are going, where the internal organs are going. And I need nerves to go from the brain to tell it what to do. And the life force that lives inside us lives inside of the nervous system, which is what we work with as chiropractors. Neck and back pain, yes. However, that is a way bigger story. So last week, my cousin, who's 6 weeks older, her husband had a stroke 12 years ago. And although we didn't know it was trending towards the end of life, he did end up passing away peacefully last Tuesday night at 50 years old and 10 days. So it was 10 days past his 50th birthday. And so I ended up going up at 11 o'clock at night, which is another reason why we skipped last week. It was like, I need a lot of bandwidth for her and that, but also I was up till the wee hours of the morning on Tuesday night. And then I get up early on Wednesday to serve my patients. And then by Thursday, I'm like, holy cow, I need a minute. So anyway, I go up to the facility where she's at, and because she's hysterical, and she's my very first best friend, and we travel life together. And so I get there and I'm like, okay, I'm there for her. And I told her friend that was there, I was like, you've got to like draw the picture out for him. What am I walking into? And he was like, okay, so Danielle's in the hallway just around the corner here, but Scott is in the room. And I'm like, okay, he's in the bed, and like there's a drape of some, like, what's happening? Because I just was like, I'm not very good with dead bodies, because I work with the subtle substance that animates our bodies, and Dr. Paula too. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna brace myself. This is the third death in the last 5 years, and the third dead body that I've been around. Because it's a total,
aside from a funeral though, right? Like, let's clarify that. Yeah.
So yeah. So like when
very different.
It is. The body has not been embalmed. It has not been done anything. It's like walking into the room where the soul just slipped out, where the innate intelligence like literally just left. And it's so interesting because I've also adjusted her husband along the way. I've worked with the subtle substance of his body in particular. So I walk into the room and I'm with her, and it's so interesting because the only difference between life and death is that the innate intelligence that worked to animate this whole thing has now left the body. And so I was a couple days later, actually the next evening, I was with friends, and one of them's a police officer. The other one is an accountant. The other one is a retired from Ford. And we're sitting around and I'm chatting about this. And they're like, why do you call it a dead body? I'm like, because it's not Scott anymore. It's Scott's vessel, but Scott is no longer. Scott is that energy that made up this moving being. And it's so wild that we're not completely tending to that energy every single day. People are not respectful of that energy until it's gone. People are not living their fullest life until there's the contrast of there's no life. And so we're coming to you today because health is making sure that animated force, the subtle substance that animates the world inside of us, is tended to. We're eating well, moving well, thinking well, drinking your water, getting your rest, and getting adjusted. And it just takes a minute to process. And we talked about this, I guess it's been a little over 2 years at this point, that my other patient passed right in front of me, not at my office. I was at the hospice facility, but it's so like, where does it go? How did it get there?
didn't you feel a wave? Like, I know we were doing our podcast at the time, and we did a whole show on that as well.
Yeah. This was, I can't remember exactly the day, but I want to say it was either a year and a half ago or it was 2.5 years, because it was in January. And I'm thinking it was 2025, but it might have been 2024. And I'd have to ask the family. We knew, so I'd been seeing this patient for 18 years when this happened. And so I was part of their family. I was part of the adult children's family. I was following her through her process. I was also go to the facility and adjust her at the facility where she was at assisted living. And, I'm going to sneeze. And of course, if I call it out, I'm not going to sneeze, right? Wow. That just moved through. But anyway, so I was invited to the bedside. So the daughter called and said, the hospice people said it's close. So I went there and I was like, first of all, I'm so honored to be called bedside, number one. And number two, to be there, like, I don't know how to be. How am I supposed to be? And I think I called you on the way and I was like, I'm invited, but I don't know how to be. What am I supposed to do? So we're just being. That's all we're doing. We're just being with Mona was her name. And she was in their death slumber, which is the long, slow breaths. They're still there. And then I'm talking, the neighbor's there, the daughter's there, and I'm standing behind them. And the daughter, we're all talking about, we're talking about dogs or something. We're just kind of like having light conversation and being with Mona. And all of a sudden, the three of us were like, all three of us were like, what just happened? We could feel it. And then literally this energy moved right through my body and the room spun 90 degrees. So the wall that was here in front of me now is here. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, I have to sit down. But it wasn't because I was nauseated. It wasn't because of the experience. It was literally like that energy force spun through me in some way. And it was so profound. And so I will forever be changed by that one. And then going to be with my cousin and her late husband, it was like, it's so profound to be with the body minus the energy, and also to be so respectful of all the energy that comes into my world here every day and what we get to do. There's not really words, right? So, but the innate intelligence is so big and so profound. And so yeah, that's what we wanted to talk about this week, and like skip last week so I can somehow process and put words on something I can't put words on.
I think you did a great job.
Have I done any of this justice? Because I don't feel like I have.
I think you have. I think you put some good words on something, even though you think you didn't know how to put words on it. I think it was perfect.
Thank
just
you.
speaking that truth. And I think anyone who's been in that situation understands what you're talking about. And of course, we had this conversation about the body, talking about it as the body. And, when my mom dropped dead, I wasn't there, but it was, we still referred to her as her. Where is she? She's in the other room. When are they coming to get her? We still referred to her. And maybe that's a maternal, paternal thing. I don't know. But yeah, it was just interesting because you're looking at this person who was animated and then now is no longer animated. It's just really interesting. Like, again, where does it go? What happens when it gets out into that space? And then, just getting even super ethereal, like souls, the way our souls run through the eternal world, which I will say the eternal world for, I don't know what people believe out there, but, I'm Eastern Orthodox. So, in the Orthodox faith, we believe in eternal life. And there's just been too many experiences that I've had with what I deem our souls, and then just miracles in life. And I'm like, and then humans, we we connect with humans who then we're like, we use the word soul connected.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think that's a mistake.
Right.
And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think our souls are continually moving in and out of physical form. And then we find each other again and again and again, which is, to me, is so, so cool. But yeah, the whole life and death piece, when we look at, again, going back to the green books, there's also a concept in chiropractic called above, down, inside out, because innate intelligence comes from above. It comes down into the vessel, and it goes from the inside, and it expresses out. And we talked about this months ago. We talked about, I think we were talking about skin care and skin health. And we're like, it expresses from here. If you want good skin, you need good innate intelligence. You need to fuel it properly, getting your adjustments, getting your proper rest, making sure you're hydrated. That's Botox. That's your natural Botox.
Right. There was a guy, and speaking of that, there was a guy in this morning, and I don't know how old he is. I always kind of like to have details just because it sort of helps it land better. So let's see, he is 62 years old, and he's been under care for a while. You guys, he was in this morning, and I was like, he literally Benjamin buttoned his life. And and he was a guy, I wasn't going to bring it up in that way, but I was like, he stood up off the table, and I was like, how did you, I'm not even kidding, like his skin, the way, just his presence, his energy, he is aging in reverse. I'm actually seeing a lot of that, but like you said, it's like what we're doing on the inside comes through to the outside. And so we need an above, down, inside out episode, maybe next week. But when we're talking about the egg and sperm coming together, this expression comes from wherever that is in, and then from the inside out. And I see a ton of pregnant women in the practice. And then these babies get born. And then I'm like, every single time, I'm like, I know that baby has been in there this whole time. I know that. I know that mom has been experiencing this baby this whole time. I know that. This baby I've had an experience with, because from conception through their birth, I've known them. And then they get here, and I'm like, this is mind blowing. It blows my mind every time, and I'll never get over it. And I always say to them, I'm like, it's so naive to say, but it's so remarkable that egg and sperm came together and made this thing. And now it's on the outside. Now it gets to go out and express itself in the world, which I really believe is the true meaning of life, is to have the experience outside. So you get to go out and experience life. And I want to remind you to go do main character things. Of course, watch us every week, but then set your phone down and go about your life, because we're not promised a tomorrow. We are never promised that. And so to back up, a day before Tuesday last week was, I had a friend in Colorado that is more than an acquaintance, but not one of my good friends. I have a ton of really, really close, a lot of my best friends are out there. But this other friend of ours got a really bad cancer diagnosis and a bad prognosis like 5 years ago, fought it, did the things, did all the treatments and whatever, didn't necessarily change a whole lot of lifestyle factors and forces. And so ended up 2 years ago with a more intense cancer diagnosis. And out in Colorado, and we don't need to necessarily, bring this as a subject in, but out in Colorado, there's something called MAID, MAID, and I don't know what the S is, but it's medical aid in death. So basically was able to get MAIDs on board, which was a concoction, through all of the right processes and procedures with medical doctors and signing off of this and that, and had a choice to take that concoction. And I'm super curious. So all this happened in like 2 days, you guys, last week. I'm just like mind blown. And within 2 hours was able to ease on down his path back into the soul world. And I'm also, relatively close to, in proximity to people that are close to that family. And it's so wild to just be out, number one, to be able to choose that. But number two, then to go through this process and have the family like ready, but never ready. And then have my cousin do the same thing, like never really ready, really dignified way of going. And I don't know, I'm just kind of mind blown over the last couple of weeks because we're not promised a tomorrow. We're just never are. And people take that for granted until the very end. And let's be taking care of our body the best way we can every single day and living our life really fully. So anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely that stepping into, as you said, the main character things, stepping into how do you live completely full? How do you optimize every single moment of every single day? I don't know if I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but a couple weeks ago we had a scare where one of my dearest friends from childhood went missing. And thankfully he was found. We found him and he's safe and all is well. But in those moments, the probably 7 hours that we were all just going out of our minds and out in our cars and driving around and looking for him and looking for his car and calling police stations and hospitals. And that really, that whole, you're not promised a tomorrow, it's amazing because I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to him in a few days and I should have made the call. And then other people that I'm thinking about, I need to call them. I need to reach out. And I did. I started reaching out and contacting more people. And it also puts you face to face with that when you put off those human personal connections for, I got paperwork to do, or I got things to, whatever, never ever put off a human connection of any kind that's going to make a difference in your life and someone else's life, because you've got just, nobody ever said, I wish I did more paperwork when they got to the end.
Right. No.
Everyone, when they get to the end, it's always that wish of having more human connection. How could I have done more? Who could I have done more for? What greater impact could I have made? And I think that's really, if we start to look at, like, I feel like I got a second chance because it was, it was an emergency in the moment. And again, thankfully everything was fine. But I feel like that gave me that second chance. I mean, the fear I felt of losing like a brother to me was like, it was insane. So
well, take good care. And also when we have that experience, like, we don't know. Like I was at a yoga festival over the weekend, this past weekend, and it was amazing. But one of the most amazing parts were there's not a lot of phone connection out there. Like, people had their phones out and they were taking pictures and some video or having stuff to share later. But there were 2 embraces that I witnessed of 2 different people embracing and like having a moment together, like just a hug, that changed these people and their surrounding, anybody who was around them, changed the entire energy of their energetic field. And it was like, can we go out there? Can we call? Can we connect? Can we hug? Can we ask more questions? Can we have another, coffee together or something like that? Like, what can we do today that makes a big difference, and to witness those embraces. So you guys are talking about an AVM. So my cousin's husband, that's what he had. He had an arterial venous mutation and malformation right at the base of where his arteries come up and split in the brain. So that's ultimately what happened and created.
And with that, just sending much love and prayers to you, Grumpy. That's just can't even imagine going through that with your child. That's just not, it's not fair.
Yeah.
It is just not fair, but we'll keep you in our prayers for sure.
Yeah. So your health, what smacks us in the face when there's someone who passed away in front of us? Like, are we truly living? Are we truly loving? And are we like making a little difference? Even if it's in your own, you don't have to go out and like save the world, become the president of the United States or run some club or whatever. Like, can we make a difference in the 6 feet around us? just the 6 feet around us, if we can make a little difference in that much, can we add a little bit more energy? What can we do? And then how can we take just the best care of ourselves?
Well, that whole, I love that. Just what can we do within our 6 feet of ourselves? So what I'm hearing you say is that we need to be the vessel and the light.
Yeah.
Before then we can go spread that. Like, so optimizing our own innate intelligence, that's what it comes down to. I ran into someone, a mutual friend of ours, which I'll share with Dr. Erica offline, but one lit candle can light many without, yes, for sure. And I ran into her at the festival we were having locally, and I hadn't seen her in a few weeks. And I, she was standing and with some other friends, and I walked up to her and I was like, "Oh my God, hey, I can't believe I haven't run into you so far." She didn't crack a smile. She was just like, "Yeah," and she's not mad at me or anything. This is her constitution. This is who this person has always been. She's always had this very sort of like bleak, kind of negative, like really kind of a bitchy constitution. And you can see it in the lines on her face. Her mouth turns down. She's got the furrowed. When you see people and they have these deep, deep lines like this, they're constantly frowning. They're constantly driving their forehead to like deep, deep thinking. And then the frown lines. When you see somebody like that, you can tell so much about who they are, what they're expressing, and how they are expressing that light around them. There was no light coming off of her. And I was like, oh man, this is interesting. So, so think about what is the light? Some people bring light when they enter the room. Some people bring it when they leave.
Yeah. So true. So true. Under dark cloud, type. Yeah. So yeah, that is the thing. This guy brings light.
Yes.
You kept freezing, so I tried to switch.
I did. Was it me or you?
It might be. I think it might be me. I'm not sure. So.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I just wanted to switch locations so that I could make sure it's super clear. Okay. So from there, I don't know if I do have. Okay. So I'm just going to share the story. So the other body that I've been around was my dad's. And so this was 2021. We knew he was going to be passing. We didn't know when or how or whatever. But we knew he ended up in the death slumber early June of 2021. And I can talk about it now, of course. I mean, of course it's sad at the time. And life and death is death is one of our only guarantees. But so I was there at my lunchtime. I was there in the morning with the priest. Then he passed around 10:30 and I got back out to my brother's house at 1. So I came into work just because I'm going to continue on. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And I walked in the house. I was like, I don't think I can be around this dead body. Like, I don't think I could go down and see his body like that. And I'm like, okay. My sister-in-law, she's a therapist. My mom was there. Other family was there. I was like, okay, you guys come with me. And I would like to see it because there's really a completion about seeing the dead body that is really helpful for the soul and emotions of those still surviving. And so anyway, so we go down and the coroners are coming to pick him up. And so we go down and we're, having a moment and whatever. And then they want us to go, and the coroners got there, they want us to go upstairs. And while they transport the body off the gurney onto the one that's going to move him into the van or whatever. I think they had a van at the time. So we go upstairs and my mom texts my stepdad and she says, they're coming for the body. Do you want to meet downtown? And we'll have like a lunch or a cocktail in his honor. So side story, my parents also have this beautiful home at the end of a very long dirt road on the river up north, and they use it as an Airbnb. She forgot, or she sent that they're coming for the body. Do you want to meet downtown for lunch and a cocktail in his honor to the cleaners at their house?
Oh my God.
And they were there cleaning and doing whatever they were doing, and they get this text message: they're coming for the body. And the cleaners were like, what body? It's like, so we will forever have that story to tell, because it was just one of those moments that spoken wrong, and the wrong, it's just one of those like, whoops, glitched that one. But
Yeah.
anyway, it was just a funny time where it was like, what exists? So that was
Whoopsie.
the other body that was very close to me, that I was there for too. So
That's very funny. That's
yeah,
very funny. Well, I think in just, the lesson today is really, it's the respect, really understanding and being more respectful of how the body got animated to begin with. Again, the sperm and the cell comes together, it forms, they call it a mulberry. So it literally looks like a mulberry. And then the brain and nervous system develop, then it controls and coordinates. And then somewhere in there, but I mean, life force is already in there. Life force, this is the whole, does life begin at conception or not? And I guarantee you, it begins at conception, because when you feel that in your body, there's no question that that is not just a biological process. That is not just no, there is no way. That is a 100% innate intelligence spiritual process happening in every pregnant woman. And you can feel that, if you're a woman and you've held a pregnancy, and understand that, no, you're not talking to me about life doesn't begin at conception. It just does. And we follow that through, and it's like, it's such a beautiful thing. And then these beautiful little beings come out and, animate the world. But what animated them to begin with? And then where does that animation go? Like, it's kind of crazy when you think of that philosophical question.
I know. And we really don't have that answer. And also, when we talk about above, down, inside, out, what are we doing when we're doing Botox? Like you said, like Botox, and we're doing fillers, and we're adding in medications, and we're like, everything from the outside in isn't really where health is created. And if we can focus on bringing health from the inside out, find a chiropractor close to you, and also like continue to do all the things that are like the natural laws of the body works off of that, you're going to find more health if we can honor those natural laws. So Silly Lily, yes, this is my gorgeous office. I will have to, well, there's Lewis, but I don't know, you can't really see a whole lot, but maybe I'll put some pictures, or I'll do a video, maybe put it on our page sometime, because it is like working in a museum, and I'm so fortunate to be here. And it was assisted living before. So speaking of, right, life and death, like, so I've had readings, and you guys can be as esoteric and energetic as you want to, or not. But I've had some energy readings that I've been working through different parts of my life. I've had energy healers, and I've done some here, and I've also done some over Zoom here. And the one woman, she was like, there are so many helpers in that space. And like, there's a lot of just energy here. Like, is that the spirits of those that have passed? Is it some of the spirits? Like, who know what? We don't know. We can't actually measure it. It's not something like that. But yeah, they're like, there's so many helpers here. And just this container that this office is built inside of is so magical. If these walls could talk, what they could possibly say. So yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. So, think about that. I mean, when we're talking about taking care of the vessel, and I just want to go back to my mom for a second, is that she lived her life was full, literally, till the day she dropped. Because that's what happened. And no one wants to live like, your poor cousin Scott, or, Danielle's husband. It's like, to have to live like that for 10 years, like, what an awful existence. Like that's not, it's just, we need to have more for that. We need to have, live a better life. Like my mom was traveling, she was 86 and she was traveling and visiting her sisters who at the time were all still alive. And it's only her and one other sibling out of 7 have passed. So my aunt just turned 91. My uncle is 95. My other aunt is like 85. Like they were all here visiting, and you would never know because they're vibrant. They just squeeze every drop of juice out of life. Like they are living that full level of animation. I will say this is not good advertising for us, but none of them are under chiropractic care, but they all do all the other things. And that connection to family and their connections to community, those are massive, massive injections of life into each and every person. Like we cannot live without that human connection. So it's just really cool to see, if we really take care of ourselves truly, and we make sure that we are optimizing our innate intelligence. They're all very spiritual. They go to church. Like there's so many different ways to optimize that human spirit and that level of innate intelligence. So, think about living your life with as much fullness as possible.
Yeah. So Silly Lily says it's great that she lived till she died. And Dr. Paula keeps saying it that way because I'm like, when we first met, I don't know how many years we are into our friendship, maybe 4 at this point.
Yeah.
But she was like, and then, my mom just dropped dead. I'm like, why do you say she just dropped dead? She's like, because that's how it happened. Like she was living fully and then just dropped dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And also in the last week, going through some of these experiences with my cousin, her late husband now, with my friend and her late husband now, even though Dr. Paula I will always talk about life and living as much as we can and as well as we can and as healthy as we can, there was a statement over the last week, which was death isn't the worst thing. Obviously, when we lose people that are so young, children especially, but I mean, Scott was only 50. He was living the full expression of a limited physical limitations that he possibly could. And they just did the absolute best that they could. But I think so many of these things are taken for granted until it's gone. Like I have a patient that I get on her. She's here every other week. She has been for years. I'm like, are you stretching, moving, walking? What are you doing? Nope. I'm like, why? Because the day you can't is going to be the first day you wish you would have. And that's probably a whole
gold. We need a gold bar on that one.
I know. It's the day that you can no longer is going to be the day you wish you would have all along. And I think that's a whole episode, and that goes for the day you can no longer walk is going to be the day you wish you would have been walking all along. The day you can no longer, whatever, is going to be that day that you wish you would have, because what we do today we'll probably be able to do tomorrow, or the likelihood of being able to do tomorrow is going to be higher likelihood. So anyway, so much more to say. I mean, we could go on forever, but I think we need an above, down, inside out day. We need a wish we would have, and now we can't day. And then we can go back to always when we don't have our health. When we have our health, we have a bajillion hopes and dreams. When we don't have our health, we have one to get our health back. And so live in that way. I mean, I get chills from head to toe with that. I would say that.
I don't know how much gold you just dropped there, but
I know, right? Mic drop. Oh, wait, pick it up. Yeah. Wait, drop it again.
You're just like throwing it down now. You're not even dropping the mic. You're just like, oh wait, and
yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much. We all wish Dr. Erica's cousin Danielle the very best, and praying for Scott's soul, and of course Grumpy, sending you lots of love and energy. And for anybody else out there who's experienced these types of situations, scenarios, experiences, we send you lots of love. And also, just what did it do for you in your mindset? How did it affect you? What were the things that really turned light bulbs on for you? Because we're super curious. I think those types of experiences hit everybody very differently. And they're really interesting because they tend to get very spiritual. We tend to feel that sort of extra spiritual experience through that. Yeah. So I think that's really cool. So if you've had experiences with that, please drop down below. We would love to hear your comments. So, and with that, make sure you're liking, subscribing, and sharing on the way out.
That's how you're going to be the healthiest.
And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks again for being here. We love you.